Welcome back to Senior Care Insights, your go-to spot for everything you need to know about senior health and well-being. And today, we're going to be doing a deep dive into a topic that always seems to, spark a bit of debate, especially when it comes to, well, our aging loved ones, the humble egg.
Yeah, it's true. Eggs have definitely been on a roller coaster ride when it comes to, their reputation in the world of nutrition. But we're here to really dig into the science, and figure out what the deal is. How do eggs, this breakfast staple, impact the health of seniors?
Okay, so let's just get right to it. Let's talk about the cholesterol in eggs. For years, everyone told us that eggs were practically poison because of all that cholesterol. What's the latest? What do we actually know now?
Well, research has really come a long way. It turns out that for most people, eating a few eggs here and there doesn't actually have this huge negative effect on cholesterol levels. I mean, we used to be so afraid of them, but it turns out it's just not that simple.
That is good to know. So if we don't have to stress about cholesterol so much, what are the good things about eggs for seniors? What are the benefits?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. We're going to be looking at four main areas where eggs can really shine: muscle strength, brain health, heart health, and even bone density.
Wow, okay, I'm all ears. Let's start with muscle strength. Why is that particularly important for seniors?
Well, as we get older, we naturally start to lose muscle mass, right? It's called sarcopenia. And this, lack of strength, it can lead to falls, fractures, and, it just generally makes it harder to get around. And that's a big concern for seniors and, of course, their families.
Yeah, absolutely. So how can eggs help with this muscle loss? I know they have protein, but is there something, special about the protein in eggs?
You're right. Protein is key here. Eggs are packed with it. And it's not just any protein. It's what we call a complete protein. They've got all 9 essential amino acids, the ones our bodies can't make on their own. They're like the building blocks for, well, everything really, but especially for repairing and growing those muscles.
So it's not just about how much protein, it's about getting the right types too.
You got it. And studies have shown that seniors who eat enough of these complete proteins, especially from sources like eggs, they actually lose muscle mass slower, and some even get stronger. There was this one study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, and they looked at seniors who, they bumped up their protein intake, including, yep, you guessed it, eggs. And the results, well, they were pretty impressive. The ones who focused on getting those complete proteins, they not only slowed down muscle loss, but they also found it easier to do, well, everyday stuff, like getting dressed or cooking, all the things that are so important for being independent as you get older.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like giving those aging muscles exactly what they need to, stay strong and keep working properly.
Exactly. And one egg, just one, has about 6 grams of protein. It's such an easy way to get what you need.
Okay, let's move on to the brain now.
Yeah.
We've all had those senior moments, forgetting names or where we put our keys. Can eggs actually help with that?
You bet they can. Eggs are loaded with choline. It's a nutrient that's essential, absolutely crucial for our brains to function properly, especially when it comes to memory.
I've heard of choline, but remind me, how does it actually work in the brain? What does it do?
Okay, so choline is a key ingredient for making something called acetylcholine. It's a neurotransmitter. Think of it like a messenger that helps all the different parts of your brain communicate with each other. And acetylcholine is, well, it's super important for memory, for learning, for just thinking clearly, really.
Oh, so by eating eggs, we're basically giving our brains the supplies they need to, stay sharp.
That's a perfect way to put it. And there have been these really interesting studies from places like Harvard, the T.H. Chan School of Public Health, and they've shown a link between eating more choline and, get this, a lower risk of cognitive decline. That includes things like dementia. They actually follow this big group of seniors for years, and the ones with more choline in their blood, well, they did way better on all these memory and thinking tests.
That's amazing. That gives me hope, that we can stay mentally sharp as we get older.
Me too. And choline isn't the only brain booster in eggs. They've also got omega-3 fatty acids, which are great at fighting inflammation. And that might actually protect us from age-related brain changes and, serious conditions like Alzheimer's disease.
Okay, so eggs have this 1-2 punch for the brain. Choline to help us remember things and think clearly, and omega-3s to fight off inflammation.
Exactly. And get this, one egg yolk, just the yolk, provides about half of the choline we need every day. At least that's what the National Institutes of Health says.
Wow, that's a lot of choline in one little egg. Okay, let's move on to heart health. This is where things get a little Confusing, right? We talked about the cholesterol thing, but now you're saying eggs could actually be good for our hearts.
I know, it sounds strange. But yeah, more and more research is showing that eggs can actually be a positive force for heart health.
I'm definitely interested to hear more about this. How does that work? How can something with cholesterol be good for our hearts?
Well, eggs do have cholesterol, that's true. But like we talked about earlier, they don't really send that bad LDL cholesterol through the roof for most people. And here's the really interesting part. Eggs can actually help boost our HDL cholesterol levels, and that's the good kind.
Okay, remind me why HDL is so good for us. What does it actually do?
Think of HDL cholesterol like those little robot vacuums that go around cleaning up your house. HDL roams around in your bloodstream, scooping up excess cholesterol from your arteries and taking it back to your liver to be processed. And this helps prevent plaque from building up in your arteries, and that's one of the main culprits behind heart attacks and strokes.
So basically, A's can help keep our arteries clean.
That's the idea. And there's more and more research coming out to support this. There was this big study in JAMA, the Journal of the American Medical Association, and it found that people who ate eggs pretty regularly had a lower risk of heart disease compared to folks who hardly ever ate them.
That's good news.
Yeah.
So we're debunking that old myth that eggs are bad for our hearts, and we're even seeing that they might protect us from heart problems.
Exactly. Sometimes those old ideas about food need a little updating, you know? We have to keep learning.
All right, last but not least, let's talk about bones. As we get older, our bones tend to get, well, a bit more fragile, and that makes us more prone to osteoporosis and fractures. Can eggs play a role in keeping our bones strong?
Absolutely. Two of the most important nutrients for healthy bones are calcium and vitamin D, and believe it or not, eggs actually contain both of them. They might not be the first thing you think of when you think about bone health, but they can definitely contribute to a diet that supports strong bones.
I know calcium is important for building strong bones, but why is vitamin D so important?
Well, vitamin D helps your body absorb calcium more efficiently. If you don't have enough vitamin D, your body can't use the calcium you eat, and that can lead to weaker bones and a higher risk of fractures. And as we age, our bodies get worse at making vitamin D from sunlight, which is a problem.
So eggs can be a valuable source of vitamin D, especially for seniors who might not be getting enough from the sun.
You got it. One egg yolk has about 41 IUs of vitamin D, according to the USDA. That's a pretty decent amount.
Good to know. And even though we usually think of dairy products for calcium, eggs do have a little bit of calcium too, right?
Yes. One egg has about 28 milligrams of calcium. It's not a ton, but it adds up, especially when you're also eating other calcium-rich foods.
So we've talked about 4 pretty impressive benefits of adding eggs to a senior's diet: stronger muscles, a sharper mind, a healthier heart, and stronger bones. That's a pretty compelling case for having a few eggs each week.
It really is. However, there are a few things to watch out for. Not all eggs are created equal, and some types of eggs might actually pose certain risks, especially for older adults.
Oh, okay. Now you've got me really curious. What kind of eggs should we be cautious about? This is where things get really interesting. I can't wait to dig into the details after a short break.
All right, let's talk about those explosive dangers. First up, we have to be really careful with cracked eggs. You know, even a teeny tiny crack can ruin that egg's protection, that shell, and then it's open season for all those nasty bacteria like Salmonella and E. coli.
You know, I have to admit, I've definitely been guilty of thinking, oh, a little crack, it's no big deal, especially if the egg seems okay, fresh.
Yeah, a lot of people think that. But especially when we're talking about seniors, we got to be extra cautious. Their immune systems, well, they're just not as strong as they used to be. They're more likely to get sick from food, food poisoning.
Right, so it's more than just a little tummy trouble. This could be serious.
Yeah, exactly. For seniors, food poisoning can be really rough. They can get dehydrated, really sick, even end up in the hospital. It's just not a risk worth taking. And, the CDC says that Salmonella infects over 1 million people every year in the U.S., and seniors are often the ones who get hit the hardest.
Wow, those are some scary numbers. So what's the best way to, avoid this whole cracked egg problem? Do we have to, examine every single egg at the store under a magnifying glass?
Well, a good look over is always a good idea. Check for cracks, any weird spots on the shell. And be gentle with those eggs. Don't want to crack them on the way home. And of course, store them properly in the fridge, 40 degrees Fahrenheit or colder.
Okay, got it. But what if, you find a cracked egg hiding in your fridge? What then?
Toss it. Don't even think twice. Better safe than sorry, especially when we're talking about seniors.
All right, cracked eggs, they're out. What about runny yolks? I know lots of folks love a good soft-boiled egg or a poached egg, but is that safe for seniors?
Well, it's tricky. I mean, runny yolks, they're delicious, but they do come with a higher risk of salmonella. You see, those bacteria, they can be inside the egg, even if the egg looks totally clean on the outside. To kill them off, you got to cook the egg to at least 160 degrees Fahrenheit all the way through.
And a runny yolk, that doesn't always reach that temperature, does it?
Nope, not always. And even a mild case of food poisoning, it can really knock a senior down. It takes longer to recover, and the complications, well, they can be way worse.
That makes sense.
That
So no more soft-boiled or poached eggs for seniors.
Well, not necessarily. There are ways to enjoy those softer eggs safely. Hard-boiled eggs are a good bet. They're cooked all the way through. Or you can try pasteurized eggs. They've been heated up just enough to kill the bacteria, but the texture stays nice and soft.
Oh, that's a good option. Okay, let's talk about a kind of egg that maybe not everyone knows about. Century eggs. Well, they look kind of different, right? I've heard they can be a bit iffy health-wise, especially for seniors.
Yeah, century eggs. They're also called preserved eggs. They're made in a pretty unique way. Duck or chicken eggs are soaked in this mix of clay, ash, salt, and alkaline stuff. Gives them a really interesting look and flavor. But yeah, they do come with some concerns, especially for older folks.
Yeah, I've seen pictures, and they definitely don't look like your average egg. The white is dark, almost jelly-like, and the yolk is like greenish black.
Exactly. And they're fun to try, but one of the big worries with century eggs is that they're loaded with sodium. One egg can have like 600 milligrams of sodium. That's a lot.
Whoa, 600 milligrams in just one little egg. Why is too much sodium so bad, especially for seniors?
Well, too much sodium can lead to high blood pressure, which puts you at risk for heart disease, stroke, kidney problems. And if a senior's already dealing with any of those conditions, keeping that sodium down is even more important.
So, century eggs, probably not the best choice for seniors or really anyone with heart or blood pressure issues.
Right. It's best to just skip them, especially if you're watching your salt intake.
And what about that whole heavy metal thing with century eggs? I've heard some things about that.
Yeah, that's a valid concern. They used to use lead oxide to make century eggs. Nowadays, a lot of them are labeled lead-free, but there can still be like tiny amounts of heavy metals in there.
And heavy metals, they're not good for you. They build up in your body over time.
That's right. They can cause problems for different organs, like your brain and kidneys, which are already more vulnerable as you get older.
So even if those century eggs look tempting, it's probably safer to just say no.
Definitely a good call, especially for seniors who want to stay healthy.
Okay, let's talk about a cooking method that can make even a healthy food not so healthy. Deep-fried eggs, I've seen them on menus. They look all crispy and delicious, but I'm guessing they're not the best choice.
Deep frying can make anything taste good, right? But it comes at a price. Basically, you're dunking food in super hot oil. That's what makes it crispy. But it also creates some not-so-good stuff, like acrylamide and HCAs and AGEs.
Yeah, I've heard those things are linked to, like cancer and other serious health problems.
Yep, that's right. When you cook foods at really high temperatures, like when you deep fry, those compounds form. And research shows they could up your risk for certain cancers, heart disease, and other issues.
Plus, a lot of the oils used for deep frying are full of trans fats, which are terrible for your heart.
Exactly. Trans fats boost your LDL cholesterol, the bad kind, and they lower your HDL cholesterol, the good kind. That leads to plaque buildup in your arteries, and that increases the risk of heart attacks and strokes.
So deep frying eggs kind of wipes out any of those good things they might have had going for them.
Pretty much. It shows you how the way you cook something can completely change how healthy it is.
So if we want that crispy texture, what are some healthier ways to do it?
Air fryers are amazing. They use hot air to crisp up food, so you barely need any oil. That means way less of those harmful compounds and practically no trans fats. You can also get a good crisp by baking eggs in the oven.
Good tips. Okay, last one. Let's talk about a more unique kind of egg, a delicacy in some places, balut.
Ah, balut. It's a thing for sure. It's basically a fertilized duck or chicken egg with a partially developed embryo inside. They boil it and eat it right in the shell.
I've seen pictures. It's definitely not your average breakfast. What are the health risks with balut?
Well, the biggest worry is bacteria. These eggs, they're incubated in warm, humid conditions, which is like the perfect breeding ground for things like salmonella and E. coli. And remember, seniors are more vulnerable to those foodborne illnesses.
So balut is basically a petri dish for bacteria that could really make a senior sick.
Right. And then there's the whole digestion issue. Balut has bones and cartilage and, well, partially formed tissues, which can be really hard to digest, especially for older folks who might already have some digestive problems.
I can imagine that'd be pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's not exactly easy on the stomach. And then on top of all that, the cholesterol. One duck egg ballot can have over 600 milligrams of cholesterol. That's like twice the recommended daily amount for most people.
Wow, that's a ton of cholesterol. Seems like there are a lot of reasons why balut isn't a good choice for seniors.
Yeah, definitely proceed with caution, especially if you have heart problems or any digestive issues.
All right, so we talked about some potential risks with certain types of eggs. But let's not forget the main point here. Eggs, when chosen and prepared the right way, can be a really valuable part of a healthy diet for seniors.
Absolutely. It's all about making smart choices and understanding that not all eggs are created equal.
So let's get back to the positive side of things. Let's recap what we've learned about the benefits of including those well-chosen eggs in a senior's diet. After all, we don't want those risks to overshadow the fact that eggs can be really nutritious. So we've talked about, the downsides of some egg choices, but let's focus on the positive side. For someone listening, if they were to make just one change based on all this, like egg info, what would make the biggest difference?
That's a good question. If I had to pick just one thing, I'd say just adding one regular egg a day to a senior's diet, cooked safely, of course, that could make a huge difference.
One egg a day, cooked the right way. We've talked about the benefits for muscles, for the brain, heart, bones. Which of those would you say is the most important for seniors?
Oh, that's tough. They're all connected. But I think maintaining muscle strength is super important. It helps seniors stay independent and avoid falls as they get older.
Makes sense. So that protein in that one daily egg could be helping to build those muscles, preventing falls, keeping them mobile.
Exactly. And we can't forget about the cognitive benefits either. That choline in the egg, it could be helping with memory, making it easier to remember conversations, appointments, even things like managing medications.
It's amazing to think that one simple food can have such a big impact on so many different aspects of health.
It really is. It just goes to show how powerful nutrition can be. Even small changes can make a huge difference in a senior's life.
It's also a good reminder that we need to stay informed and be willing to adapt when it comes to food. What we thought was healthy, years ago, it might not be the case now.
Absolutely. Science is always moving forward, and we have to keep learning and updating our knowledge about nutrition. What we know today could change tomorrow.
Speaking of staying updated, I want to remind everyone watching that Senior Care Insights is here for you. We're your trusted source for all things senior health and well-being. We have tons of information on our channel, covering everything from nutrition and exercise to managing those chronic conditions and keeping your mind sharp and healthy.
And we're always adding new videos, so make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on the latest.
And we love hearing from you. If you have any questions or thoughts about what we discussed today, all this egg stuff, please share them in the comments below. We're building a community here, and we want to learn from each other.
And if you found this information helpful, please give the video a thumbs up and share it with your friends and family. Let's get the word out about how important it is to make smart food choices for healthy aging.
Thanks for joining us today on this excellent journey. Remember, small changes can lead to big results. It's never too late to put your health and well-being first, or the health of your loved ones. We'll see you next time for another deep dive.